If you've made it this far, I'm gonna assume you know what's going on. Hit that subscribe button and leave a comment when you finish the video. This is Kingdom Hearts Remake, Part 9. A New Journey. When Sora arrives back, he finds himself standing in front of Yen Sid's tower. He's then greeted by Donald and Goofy. While they're happy to be reunited with Sora, they're confused as to how they got there. Sora gives Donald and Goofy the summarized version of what he's learned so far. Learning about the existence of deities is pretty big news, but that's not what's important right now. What matters is the worlds are in danger, and there's no better team to take on the task. From here, the story plays out like the original. Our heroes make their way past Pete and eventually meet with Master Yen Sid. Yen Sid is shocked to see the three of them, as he believed they were victims of the organization's attack. Once again, Sora does his best to explain Cosmos' intervention and his role as her champion. Yen Sid had always suspected that there were forces beyond his comprehension, but he tells Sora it'd probably be best for him to not tell too many people about Cosmos, because that kind of revelation could cause widespread hysteria. Fortunately, Sora hasn't had the chance to talk to too many people yet. While Yen Sid is relieved that the three of them are alive, he tells them that things have gotten quite bleak in their absence. They've lost Kingdom Hearts. The Resistance is in pieces, and the new Heartless have arrived. Without assistance, the worlds won't last long against this much darkness. But with Sora's help, they can tip things back in their favor. Not only is it the right thing to do, it gives Sora the perfect opportunity to train his new powers. Before Sora goes off on his journey, Yen Sid sets him up with a new outfit. But as he's changing clothes, something unexpected happens. Deep within Sora's mind, a new entity appears. This is Cosmos' second champion, Aced. He's an imposing figure, and he radiates strength. He tells Sora that he's here to unlock his first ability. Each of Cosmos' champions were born with a gift that was unique only to them. Aced's is the most straightforward, so they figured that Sora should learn his first. Aced's gift allowed him to multiply his raw physical strength. His legs could become so strong that he could leap over entire mountains. Aced even claims that he once beat the Rock Titan in an arm wrestling match. Despite his intimidating exterior, Aced clearly had a sense of humor. Aced tells Sora that even though his power may seem simple, it'll be hard to sustain at first, but with enough time and practice, it'll become as easy as breathing. Aced wishes Sora good luck on his journey, and with a supercharged pat on the back, he sends him back to reality. Now back in his own body, Sora's appearance has changed, and he's wielding 2 Keyblades. Because he's drawing power from another person, he's able to manifest the second weapon. But this heightened state is only temporary. Until Sora can master these abilities, they'll be very draining on his body. Although it was only a small glimpse, seeing Sora's new powers gives everyone a boost of confidence. As Sora, Donald, and Goofy prepare to leave the tower, Yen Sid tells them that he'll do his best to make contact with Mickey and Riku. Hopefully, if they learn their friends are alive and well, it'll keep them from doing anything too reckless. Because as it stands now, they're on a collision course with Organization XIII. that'll likely only end in ruin. Sora thanks Yensid for looking out for his friends, and he swears he'll do everything in his power to make sure they don't lose anyone else. Our team's first stop is at Hollow Bastion. When they arrive, they're surprised to see how developed it is and how many people are around. Not only is it incredibly fortified, it has its own defense system. Our trio wonders who would put in this much effort to restore the town. But before they have too much time to think, they're attacked by a group of new Heartless. After things settle down, Yuffie arrives. She's excited to see her old friends again, but she warns them to be careful out in town, as these new monsters have been popping up a lot recently. But even so, Hollow Bastion has become one of the safest worlds for people to live. Thanks to the Restoration Committee, the families that once fled Hollow Bastion are now moving back to it. Sora asks Yuffie, what exactly is this Restoration Committee? She tells him to follow her to Merlin's house, where she'll explain everything. Once inside, our trio reunites with Leon, Sid, and Aerith. They ask Sora, Donald, and Goofy where they've been all this time. Our trio explains what happened to them at Castle Oblivion. Leon tells Sora that he's been hearing rumors about this organization, but he had no idea they really existed. The next time Kairi's in town, he'll have to give her an update on the situation. Just hearing Kairi's name makes Sora's eyes shoot wide open. Is she safe? How did she get off the island? And why is she in Hollow Bastion? When Sora finally finishes bombarding Leon with questions, he settles down enough to listen. Leon explains that Kairi started the Restoration Committee, and many people in town now look to her as a leader. On top of that, she's now a Keyblade wielder, and she was able to take down a pretty powerful enemy named Gilgamesh. And since getting her Keyblade, she's been training with Cloud almost non-stop. At her current level, Leon believes that she may be even stronger than Sora. She's currently off-world with Tifa, probably out looking for Sora and Riku. Kairi never gave up on finding her friends, and every so often, she goes off on one of these searches. According to Leon, Kairi's never gone for too long, so if Sora wants, he's welcome to wait for her to come back. As great as that would be, Sora knows he has a bigger responsibility. So he tells Leon, hopefully he can catch Kairi on his next visit. For now, Sora volunteers to help with Heartless cleanup, hoping to give Hollow Bastion a little extra breathing room. While patrolling the town, Sora and the others take down quite a few of the new Heartless. But this is no time to celebrate, as they have some unwelcome visitors. Organization XIII arrives in the center of town. Tension is high as Sora and the others brace for an all-out fight. But the organization doesn't seem interested in fighting. Xemnas declares that all worlds are now under the rule of Organization XIII. So long as they do as they're told and don't become a nuisance, the people of Hollow Bastion will be allowed to keep their lives. If the organization was to destroy everyone, who would be left to amuse them? Sora shouts at the organization and tells them that there's no way he'll let them toy with people. Xigbar expresses his surprise when he sees Sora standing in front of him. He jokes that Saïx must have poor aim. Xigbar makes light of the situation because as far as he's concerned, Sora is no more threatening than a housefly. He tells Sora and the others that the organization has absorbed so much energy from Kingdom Hearts that it would be beneath them to actually engage Sora in combat. Sora is infuriated as he watches the members of Organization XIII fade into the darkness. Back at their castle, the members of the organization are discussing how they'll divvy up the worlds amongst themselves. Xemnas tells his followers that they've earned this power, and they may be as cruel or benevolent as they wish. After the meeting concludes, Saïx heads downstairs. He enters a room, and inside, Axel is sitting in silence. As you would expect, Axel isn't exactly happy to see him. Although they were friends for decades, Axel can't stand to be around Saïx after what he did to Roxas. Despite the hostility, Saïx still comes to visit Axel and give him updates on the outside world. Axel and Xion were present when Kingdom Hearts was opened, but they weren't allowed inside. So while the other members have grown in power, they've been stagnating as prisoners. As we cut back to Sora, Donald, and Goofy, we see that they've arrived at Beast's castle. Just like in the original story, there seems to be friction between Beast and Belle. However, unlike the original, Xaldin isn't trying to turn Beast into a Heartless. Xaldin wants to drive a wedge between Beast and Belle because he wants the castle for himself. You may be wondering, why doesn't Xaldin just take it by force? Despite gaining tremendous physical power from Kingdom Hearts, he hasn't yet developed the reality warping abilities needed to override the magic of another world. Not only does Beast's rose keep him in his current form, it repels those who would try to forcibly remove him from the castle. While it was intended to keep him in isolation, it has now become his saving grace. Xaldin plans to destroy any hope that Beast has of finding true love. Then Xaldin will finally have a castle of his own, a dream he's had ever since he was a guard at Radiant Garden. Sora, Donald, and Goofy eventually manage to talk Beast down and prove that Xaldin has been manipulating him. Once Xaldin learns of their interference, he decides to take matters into his own hands. While he may not see Sora as a threat, he certainly has become a thorn in his side. Xaldin challenges Sora, believing he'll defeat him with ease. At first, the battle seems hopeless for Sora, as the gap in their strength is massive. Recognizing that he stands no chance in a prolonged fight, Sora pulls out his trump card and plans to end things now. Calling on the power of the champion Aced, Sora activates Valor Form. Xaldin is blinded by a flash of red light, and when he opens his eyes, he's bombarded with Keyblade strikes. Each blow shakes the foundation of the castle, and despite his superhuman durability, Xaldin is left in critical condition. However, Sora has reached his limit. At his current level, he can only maintain his form for 30 seconds. As his power begins to fade, he threatens Xaldin, hoping he can make him retreat. Luckily for Sora, Xaldin takes the bait. So for now, Beast and Belle are safe. Back at the Organization homeworld, Xaldin limps towards the throne room. On his way there, he runs into Saïx. Xaldin explains what happened and warns Saïx that Sora has gained new power since he's been away. Saïx doesn't seem concerned about this revelation, but rather He seems excited about it. Sayax thanks Xaldin for the information, but tells him that it's much too soon for the others to know about it. So unfortunately, he needs to be removed. With one powerful strike, Sayax obliterates all that remained of Xaldin, making it abundantly clear that Sayax has his own agenda. After Sora, Donald, and Goofy wrap up things in the Land of Dragons, they move on to Olympus. After they arrive, the world plays out much like the original story, except Dimix has a very different motivation for getting involved. Back in the old days of Radiant Garden, Dimix was a struggling musician who happened to come from an incredibly wealthy family. He realized he would never gain respect for his music, so instead, he used his family's money and influence to buy his way into Xemnas' inner circle. Through sheer luck, he turned out to be one of the successful Nobody experiments. Outside of his value as a pure darkness, he never contributed much to the organization, and most members regarded him as a court jester. But now with the power of Kingdom Hearts, Dimix has become a legitimate threat. Dimix has come to Olympus with the intention of defeating Hercules in combat. He believes that a victory over their greatest hero will put him on the fast track to fame. Regardless of his talent, he'll finally receive the praise and recognition he's always desired. Despite gaining the power to reshape worlds, the members of Organization XIII are still driven by the selfish obsessions that made them nobodies in the first place. Although it could be argued that their fixation on fulfilling their personal fantasies is what makes them so dangerous. Unfortunately for Dimix, Hades would throw a wrench in his plans. When Hades unleashes the Hydra on the Colosseum, Sora, Donald, and Goofy spring into action. The battle leaves the Colosseum in ruins, meaning that there'll be no games for Dimix to challenge Hercules. Dimix is furious, as Sora, Donald, and Goofy have ruined his scheme. However, he restrains himself, as the three of them have saved Olympus, and attacking them now may not go over well with his future fans. Hoping to preserve his future image, Dimix decides to bide his time and get his revenge when nobody's looking. After moving on from Olympus, the Gummy ship receives an emergency signal from Disney Castle. When they arrive at the castle grounds, Queen Minnie explains that the cornerstone of light is in danger. She correctly assumes that the assailant must be someone with a vast knowledge of magic and spells. Sora and Minnie hurry over to check on the cornerstone, but when they enter the chamber, they're confronted by Maleficent. Sora, Donald, and Goofy are shocked to see her alive, as they were the ones who defeated her. But unbeknownst to them, Maleficent's resurrection has nothing to do with her own power, and everything to do with Xemnas. Xemnas tampering with Kingdom Hearts has begun to wear down the boundary that separates the realms, making it possible for unusually strong hearts to spill out and return to their former selves. While Sora may not know how Maleficent came back, her return adds to his sense of urgency. Maleficent knows that she can't take Sora head on, but her plan revolves around magic, not might. Maleficent lets out an ominous laugh before disappearing from the room. Wanting to resolve the issue quickly, Sora asks Queen Minnie how they can help. She directs him to Merlin, believing that he may have the magical knowledge necessary to combat whatever spell Maleficent has crafted. But just as Sora's about to leave, a voice calls out to him. The voice tells Sora that there's no magic Merlin can teach him that it doesn't already know. Emerging from deep within his mind, Sora meets Cosmos' third champion, Envy. Envy tells Sora that if magic is what he's after, she can provide. As a champion, Envy was gifted with the power of ruin, a dark magic that amplified simple spells like fire and turned them into a raging inferno. With this power, Envy's magic was unrivaled in its destructive capability. Envy used her magic to spread darkness throughout the worlds. As a reminder, Cosmos doesn't favor light over darkness. Her concern is balance over imbalance. So if the worlds are skewed towards light, then her champion is responsible for restoring the darkness. Over the course of her lifetime, Envy created many of the most powerful spells that are still used to this day. So with her knowledge, Sora can craft a spell to counter whatever magic Maleficent may be using. Sora is thankful for the assistance, but he's hesitant to use such a dark and destructive power. But Envy reminds Sora that light and darkness don't have a morality. Good and bad are determined by the person using them. Although she does joke that if she was alive today, her and Sora would probably be enemies. But in her time, Chaos was masquerading around as a hero of light. So naturally, she had to take the opposing side. Envy tells Sora that she's a little jealous of him, because in her time, she never got the chance to be seen as a hero. But what's more important is that she helped allow for a future where someone else could be. Envy's words put Sora's mind at ease, and after expressing his gratitude, he willingly accepts her power. Channeling the power of ruin, Sora activates Wisdom Form. The increase in Sora's magical power is staggering. Using his new abilities, Sora generates a backdoor into Maleficent's spell, allowing him to take it apart from the inside. Minnie, Donald, and Goofy are impressed by the display, but due to Sora's time limit, the form doesn't hold for very long. Once inside the spell, the events of Timeless River play out just like the original game. Now that they've put a stop to Maleficent and Pete, Sora, Donald, and Goofy can carry on with their adventure. They make stops in Port Royal, Atlantica, Agrabah, Halloween Town, and the Pride Lands along the way. By this point, Sora's proficiency with both Valor Form and Wisdom Form have increased quite a bit. He can now maintain both for at least a full minute. While his growth was reassuring, Sora knew he couldn't rest, as the worlds were in danger from both old threats and new ones. Back at the Organization homeworld, we see a conversation between Sayax and Xemnas. While the other members of the Organization have been off-world amusing themselves, Xemnas has been steadily amassing power from Kingdom Hearts. Sayax comments on how the other members of Organization XIII are off living out their wildest dreams. So he's curious as to why Xemnas has been holed up in the castle. Normally, Xemnas holds his cards very close, but Sayax is one of his most trusted members. In fact, Sayax and Xigbar are the only members of the organization who are aware of Xemnas' true identity as Xehanort. Xemnas tells Sayax that he too has a dream, one that is far more grand than Kingdom Hearts. Back when Xehanort was a young Keyblade wielder, he was training at the Land of Departure. Like all of his peers, he hoped to one day become a Keyblade master. When his Keyblade appeared on his home world, his family believed it was a good omen. And although the weapon was beyond their comprehension, they knew it was part of Xehanort's destiny. They were all sad to see him go, but their hearts were connected, and they believed that one day, Xehanort would come back to them. While he was undergoing his training, Xehanort received terrible news. His home world had been destroyed by an exploding star. A freak accident beyond anyone's control. Consumed with guilt and grief, Xehanort became obsessed with finding a way to bring his family back. And after passing the Mark of Mastery exam, he believed he'd found his answer. The technique reserved only for masters. The greatest ability light has to offer. The power of waking. The power of waking uses the purest expression of light to bend both time and space. It allows Keyblade masters to restore life to worlds that have been ravaged by darkness. When a person dies, their heart returns to Kingdom Hearts. But on the way there, it travels through a sort of in-between. The power of waking can redirect that heart and bring it back to the realm of light. However, in order for this to work, there are very specific conditions that have to be met. For one, there has to be a suitable vessel for the heart to return to. Second, the power of waking must be used selflessly, because selfish desires tend to attract darkness. It is for that reason that Keyblade masters never use the power of waking on those they have a personal connection with. Keyblade masters carry the tremendous burden of knowing they can give life to anyone, except those they love the most. If the power of waking is misused, it doesn't just fail. It completely erases every heart involved, removing them from existence entirely. That risk alone is enough of a deterrent for most, but not for Xehanort. Xehanort believed that if he could harness the power of Kingdom Hearts, he could override all of these rules and bring his family back. When the other masters learned of Xehanort's plan, they tried talking him down, but he was beyond reason. And unfortunately, things turned violent. From that day onward, Xehanort was branded an enemy of the light. Everything he's orchestrated as Xemnas has been done with the sole purpose of bringing back his family. The replica program was started with the intention of creating suitable vessels for them to return to. His research of the heart was done with the hopes of restoring theirs. and Kingdom Hearts, the missing variable that could make the impossible possible. The journey to his goal has turned Xemnas into a ruthless tyrant, and he knows full well that even if he does bring his family back, they'll have little respect for the person he's become. But even if they hate him, at least they'll be here. When we catch up with Sora, Donald, and Goofy, we see that they've arrived in Twilight Town. Although they spent months in stasis here, they'd never actually seen the town itself. They don't get to look around for very long before trouble appears. One of the residents, Vivi, is pleading for someone to help his friends in the Sandlot. Wasting no time, Sora, Donald, and Goofy rush over to investigate. When they arrive, they see several other residents pinned down by new Heartless. Fortunately, at this point, a few new Heartless are easy work for Sora. After the fight, our trio is confronted by Saïx. Saïx applauds Sora for the impressive performance, and he reveals that he knows all about Sora's new power boost. Although, after seeing it firsthand, Saïx tells Sora that his power still pales in comparison to Xemnas, and if Sora plans on making himself useful, he'll need to pick up the pace on his training. Before Sora has time to ask any questions, Saïx makes his exit. Sora, Donald, and Goofy are left puzzled. Why would Saïx want them to get stronger? And if they know about Sora's new power, why not take him out now, before he has a chance to master it? Even if Xemnas is planning some type of trap, they can't allow themselves to ignore the people in need. So our trio decides to press on, believing that the only way to go is forward. As Sora, Donald, and Goofy continue to talk, their conversation is interrupted by Cypher. Cypher thanks the trio for their help and explains that even though he knew he was outmatched, he couldn't allow those monsters to attack the memorial. Cypher then points across the Sandlot, and we see a collection of flowers and pictures dedicated to Roxas. Sora remembers Yen-Sid briefly mentioning Roxas, but outside of that, he doesn't know much about him. Sora asks Cypher who Roxas was and what happened to him. Cypher directs Sora to the other side of town. He tells him that if he wants to know more about Roxas, he should ask Hayner, Pince, and Olette. Sora manages to find the three of them over at the train station. Although they're still grieving the loss of Roxas, something about Sora makes them want to open up. Over the course of the conversation, Sora learns about Roxas's past, his involvement with the organization, and the sacrifice he made for the town. Although Sora never met him, he's overwhelmed with gratitude. Roxas helped keep Sora hidden and protected for months, and if not for his help, who knows what would have happened. Hayner tells Sora that he reminds him of Roxas, and that talking with him makes him feel like Roxas may still be out there somewhere. After they finish talking, Hayner, Pince, and Olette wish Sora well on his travels. As Sora waves goodbye, he feels a familiar pull deep within his mind. And once again, he's greeted by a champion. The fourth person to carry the torch, Ava. Ava congratulates Sora on his progress, believing he's proven himself ready for her power. While Aced and Envy's gifts are formidable, they act as straightforward power amplifiers. Ava's gift, on the other hand, is a bit more complex. Ava was gifted with instantaneous reaction. This power reduces the delay between Ava's thoughts and actions to 0, dramatically increasing both her attack speed and evasive ability. It also augments her perception of speed, making it seem as though her enemies are moving in slow motion. During her lifetime, Ava was a famous dancer. The grace and poise she developed from dancing, combined with her unique gift, made her nearly impossible to hit on the battlefield. The only person to ever land a strike on her was Chaos. But even so, Ava emerged victorious. Although her power is great, Ava warns Sora that it won't make him untouchable. Even if his mind can perceive things faster, his body still needs to be efficient enough to react to them. She tells Sora that maybe adding some dancing to his training might help. Sora laughs and thanks Ava for her help. Ava's power allows Sora to push his reflexes to the max and activate Limit Form. Now that Sora has access to 3 different forms, he begins to wonder if there's a way for him to utilize all of his powers at the same time. But that's something he'll have to focus on later, as he receives a transmission from Leon telling him that Hollow Bastion is surrounded by Heartless. Rushing back to help their friends, Sora, Donald, and Goofy quickly arrive in the town square. And as luck would have it, they weren't the only ones Leon called for help. After a year apart, our trio reunites with Cloud. And despite his stoic nature, Cloud is happy to have them here. Cloud comments on the change in Sora, as he can feel the power radiating from him. He jokes that if Sora keeps up with his training, he might catch up to Kairi. Now that he's heard it for the second time, Sora questions just how strong has Kairi gotten. Cloud replies that he'll see for himself soon enough, as Kairi and Tifa are headed back to help with the fight. But what they should focus on now is meeting up with Leon on the other side of town. After traveling through the outskirts of Hollow Bastion, Sora, Donald, and Goofy arrive at Ansem's study. This office was originally owned by Diz, but after his exile, Xehanort, who at the time was going by the name Ansem, moved in. As our trio looks around the room, there's no trace of Leon. There is, however, someone else who's been waiting to talk to them. After a long journey across space, Tifa has arrived back in Hollow Bastion. She introduces herself to Sora and expresses her excitement to finally meet him. Tifa tells Sora that he's pretty much the only thing Kairi talks about, so it's nice to finally put a face to the name. And as much as she would like to stay and chat, she's been asked to secure the perimeter, so she needs to head back outside. After Tifa makes her exit, seemingly out of nowhere, Leon appears in the back of the room. Leon thanks Sora for responding to his message, and despite how things may look outside, he has some good news to share. Shortly before Sora, Donald, and Goofy arrived, Leon received a visit from King Mickey. Although they've been lying low, Diz and Naminé have done their best to keep up with the outside world. When Diz learned of the growing threat to Hollow Bastion, he asked King Mickey to deliver something for him. The package contained an access key to the secret portion of his study, as well as the login credentials to his computer. Diz told Mickey that if the group in Hollow Bastion could get his system back up and running, they could upgrade the town's defense network. Additionally, Diz had an old friend who was using this secret room as a hideout. Seeing as how Diz was the one who helped him after he crash-landed in Hollow Bastion, he figures he can call in a favor. And even though decades have passed, his unique genetics have likely kept him in top fighting shape. While Diz wishes he could do more, he hopes to at least tip things in our hero's favor. Once inside of the secret room, everyone gets to work on accessing the system. From here, the computer mishap and the events with Tron play out just like the original story. The only differences being that Tron's user is Diz, and unlike the original, Tron holds no animosity towards him. Also, because Sora already has the login credentials, he won't need to leave the computer midway through, so he'll wrap up his first encounter with Tron in one go. Now back in the real world, Leon uses the system to fortify the defenses around the center of town, as the main priority is protecting the innocent civilians. As Sora, Donald, and Goofy head out to take on the Heartless, they finally come face to face with King Mickey. Joy spills out on all sides as everyone feels a sense of relief knowing they're all okay. Mickey admits that when Yen Sid told him that Sora, Donald, and Goofy were all still alive, he found it hard to believe. But standing here now, he's glad he didn't lose faith. Mickey recaps the events of the last year, giving our trio a better understanding of the Resistance and everything that happened with the organization. Now that Sora knows the full story, he feels an even greater sense of resolve, learning of all the people that helped along the way. But the person that Sora wants to hear about the most is Riku. Learning that his friend's health is deteriorating makes Sora concerned. While it pains him to say it, Mickey tells Sora that he and Riku have been separated for a while. Mickey had been hearing rumors that a man in black who fought with a very specific sword had been sighted on several different worlds. Their conversation is interrupted by a massive tremor. The Heartless have launched their attack, and the battle for Hollow Bastion is about to begin. Ooh, spicy. Talk about a cliffhanger. But hey, you just have to wait another 6 months for the next video. I hope you've been enjoying the story, and I look forward to having you back for the next video. As always, I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful for your time. I'd like to give a thank you to all my patrons, and a special thank you to my critical supporter, Xehanort.